What's up, everyone, and welcome to this impromptu episode of Off the Mat, your new wrestling obsession. And my name is Matt, and I am your host every Thursday night, 9 p.m., right here on Off the Mat. And we have some breaking news. I was going to do a video of it, but I just figured we should probably go live with it. Listen, another WWE veteran is walking out the door, it sounds like, not because he can't still go, not because fans don't care, but WWE apparently couldn't give him a reason to stay. And that seems to be more and more of a case being made lately. This is just breaking news today. This is just coming in, so developments are still very, very fresh of what's going on. But according to reports from Fightful Select, Sheamus has rejected WWE's restructured contract offers. And unless something changes, the Celtic Warrior is expected to leave when his current deal expires. And honestly, this isn't just a Sheamus story if we're being 100% truthful here. This is becoming a pattern. And this pattern is one that keeps fueling the criticism that WWE's creative has become stagnant. So we're going to talk about this a little bit today. That's why I want to jump on here live instead of just recording a video, because I wanted to get my ideas out fresh and kind of see how you guys were feeling about the situation here, since things are still very fresh. News is still just coming in of all of this. And it just kind of broke this morning, and there's not a whole lot of detail with it yet. But like I said, Fightful Select is reporting that Sheamus has been sidelined with an injury, and WWE presented him with a restructured contract offer, and he declined it. And now, unless the two sides return to the negotiation table, this contract will simply expire. So he's not being released, but he's walking away. If that's true, WWE is about to lose one of the most reliable performers they've had for nearly 2 decades. Yes, he's faced a lot of injuries. Yes, it has become of recent. He's had some bigger injuries that have kept him out of action for quite a while. But while he's there, healthy, Sheamus is one of the most reliable performers WWE has in their back pocket, right? And it doesn't seem to be about money. Obviously, none of us know what the offer was, where there was those rumors going around that there was a big name that was offered a 50% pay cut, and nobody wanted to say who it was. And a lot of speculation was rampant. And personally, I speculated on it being LA Knight that was requested to take that massive pay cut, because LA Knight was not seen on TV for weeks. But it seems that maybe, and I mean, I think a lot of us thought that this whole WWE asking people to take pay cuts and things like that was done, but news comes to light that apparently it wasn't. So, like the New Day before him, Sheamus was approached and asked to take that pay cut. Maybe the money wasn't right. Maybe the schedule they were offering wasn't right. But if you're Sheamus, what exactly are you staying for, if we're being honest? When was the last time WWE gave Sheamus a meaningful story? Last time we saw him in the ring was John Cena's final match on Raw. And before that, he was in a kind of pointless feud with Sheamus, Rusev, a returning Rusev. Chronic said if he goes to AEW, he will be joining 2 of his friends, Cope and Claudius Castagnoli. Yeah, he might very well go to AEW. I don't know what Sheamus's next move is going to be. But yeah, other than the Rusev stuff, when was his last meaningful story? And not just some random match on a Monday Night Raw like we were just talking about. Not another let these guys beat each other up because it'll be a banger. That's kind of what you got with Sheamus, right? But an actual story with character progression and something fans could actually emotionally sink their teeth into, right? I can't honestly remember when the last time Sheamus had a match like that. When was the last time Sheamus had a huge feud for a title? Yeah, his was thrown around the Intercontinental Championship picture, a title that has eluded him his entire career, the title that he's essentially leaving WWE without ever holding, preventing him from becoming a Grand Slam champion. They just let Sami Zayn enter that Grand Slam Championship conversation by donning him the new WWE Universal Champion. So why couldn't they give that same respect to Sheamus? before letting him walk out the door. And they're going to walk up to him and present him with a contract to take a reduced payment or schedule, or I'm sure we'll get the details of the contract as more of this news breaks. But when I sat down and thinking about this after hearing about it, I kept coming back to a specific issue. And the issue I keep coming back to is that WWE has become this incredible machine at creating moments, right? They're struggling to create compelling long-term storytelling for a huge portion of their roster, but they're very good at creating viral moments. And it seems like that's what Triple H is living for lately, is just to create that viral moment. The Bloodline is fantastic. John Cena's retirement tour was less than stellar. The tour itself was excellent, but the storylines and his heel turn and all that was completely mishandled. CM Punk is always interesting. You crown Sami Zayn in Saudi Arabia and make that feel-good story for Zayn and all the Zaniacs out there, if that's what you want to call them. But once you get past that handful of featured acts, what's everyone else doing? Right? How many wrestlers disappear for weeks? LA Knight, Chelsea Green was on the shelf for a while. Let's talk about Dragunov. Let's talk about, since winning the Intercontinental Championship, where's Sol Ruka been? Why hasn't Liv Morgan defended the Women's World Heavyweight Championship? There's countless of others names that you can throw out there to question where they've been. I know that they've had behind the scenes, they've had visa issues and things like that, but where's Ivy Nile been other than AAA? Where have the Creeds been? Ever since the Mass versus Mass match, we haven't seen the Creed brothers. There's a whole list of superstars, Grayson Waller, like just disappearing, that this creative team just doesn't feel like they have direction for. How many returns are happening with absolute no explanation? How long did Royce Key sit on the shelf with rumors of, hey, we don't have any creative for him. We don't have a creative direction for Royce Keys right now, so we don't know what to do with him. So we're just going to put him in this weird, convoluted backstory that he's got history with Solo Sikoa and he's got history with Jacob Fatu. How many are we throwing in just random tag teams because WWE decided to release a slew of superstars on SmackDown and they have no more tag team division? And now they're subsequently trying to rebuild said tag team division by bringing in, reportedly, Enzo and Cass again. And they're bringing in Zilla Fatu. They're bringing in, some of these other wrestlers, Mike Santana, supposedly from TNA, that have been released as of recently. Eric Young, other guys leaving TNA. You got random factions. The Vision started out as a good faction, then somehow just became a random hodgepodge after Seth Rollins got hurt. And then they really lost all direction of him. We subsequently probably saw the end of the faction on Monday night in a very vague way. You get random title matches with zero build. You get PLEs with no build until the last week, literally the week of. I feel like Night of Champions came together the week of the event. And for a pay-per-view called Night of Champions, you really didn't have very many championships defended. All of this stuff I'm talking about, the random faction, the random title matches, the random tag teams, the returns with no explanation, the wrestlers disappearing, that's not long-term storytelling. That's just filling television time. That's filling pay-per-views. That's trying to get tickets for an event that isn't selling because you haven't made enough stories to go the distance to get people excited and invested in this. And that's where I think Sheamus leaving is smart because he deserves better. When you really sit here and you think about it, Sheamus is a guy who's done everything in WWE and that everything WWE's ever asked him to do. He's been a company guy this entire time. You need to have someone to have a great match, you call Sheamus. You need someone to elevate younger talent, you call Sheamus. Need someone to take a championship and make it feel important, you called Sheamus. Look what he did with the United States Championship. Look what he did with his couple of runs as a tag team champion. What do you look what he did with his couple runs as a world champion. He's never complained publicly, and he's always delivered in the ring. And what has he gotten lately to show for it? A handful of random television matches, an Intercontinental Championship story that WWE teased but never fully paid off on. And then they completely abandoned that for some reason. Like, they got Penta, so they got this shiny new toy, and it was automatically like, well, thanks, Sheamus, but we're going to play with our new toys. You can sit over here. We're going to fast track Penta for everything. And now, don't get me wrong, I love Penta. I'm a huge Penta fan. I think Penta's been doing great stuff in WWE, and I think his Intercontinental Championship run has been really good so far. I would like to see that championship defended a couple more times, like, say, Night of Champions. And now, with the emergence of Chad Gable having a rock ship strapped his ass after his work in the mask versus mask stuff in AAA, it looks like there's even less room for Sheamus in the Intercontinental Championship picture, because you have Chad Gable vying for that title now. You have Dominic Mysterio seemingly wanting to get back into that title run. You have Javon Evans in that title run. You have Ethan Page in that title picture now. Rusev. You could fit Sheamus in there. Give him that title that he's never won. Fans want to see Sheamus finally complete that Grand Slam championship. That Grand Slam, the word I'm looking for is escaping me, but accolade, so to speak. He deserves it. If you're going to put Sami Zayn in that category, another guy who's very much on the same level as Sheamus, that falls in the same lines as a company guy, that does everything WWE asks of him, goes out there and delivers, never complains behind the scenes. You never hear reports of Sami Zayn being a problem or a conflict backstage. He's very much a WWE guy, very much here for the promotion, very much willing to do whatever is asked of him, and he absolutely goes out of his ways and kills it. If you want me to be honest, Sami Zayn was the most interesting and compelling thing that SmackDown had to offer. It wasn't Cody Rhodes, it wasn't Gunther, it was Sami. It was Crash Out Sami and his vendetta against the water bottle, it seems. I like that WWE is continuing that on, but on a show where you have one of your best performers in Johnny Gargano just laying there catatonic and not doing anything, where's your creative here? What's creative about that? Are you going to have Sami Zayn just all of a sudden snap, or not Sami Zayn. Are you going to have Johnny Gargano all of a sudden snap out of this catatonic state and face Sami for the World Heavyweight Championship? They kind of teased that on the last episode of SmackDown, where Candice LeRae might be getting an idea for Sheamus, or for Sami to allow Johnny to fight for that title. But other than that, it sounds pretty much like Sami Zayn's title run is going to come to an end on Monday Night Raw, when he's suspectedly going to drop the title to Cody Rhodes, and we're going to run to SummerSlam with a Cody Rhodes CM Punk main event. In Your Head Changed Man says, the fact that Sheamus, a veteran in WWE, hasn't a say in having his entrance theme written in my face says it's all. Imagine WWE taking away Triple H's theme away from him. The same Stephanie. You're hinting on Def Rebel taking away and changing everybody's theme music. They did it to the Usos. The Usos changed their theme music and then changed it back and then changed it again. Stephanie Vakir had great theme music. She didn't want her theme music changed from NXT to the main roster, which is why they kept it for a while. And then they went ahead and bastardized her theme music. They did the same thing to Chad Gable. They gave Liv Morgan that abomination of a song she has now. I'm sure some people like it. I'm not a fan of it. I liked her old music without her singing in the background. You have just all these different changes. Shinsuke Nakamura's they changed and then changed back as well. I'm not sure if Shinsuke had a hand in that, but they're just changing people's Jordan Grace, just changing people's music for the sake of changing it. Veterans on the scene, but I don't know how much the superstars have a say in all that. That could just be WWE packaging. But I could see where you're coming from with that in your head, that he's a veteran of the game, been there for a long time, and he can't even get the respect of getting his own theme music or holding on to that. But I don't think they've changed Sheamus's entrance music all that much. But like I was saying, fans want to see Sheamus get that Grand Slam championship, but instead he's getting goose egg. He's got nothing. And you kind of question if WWE is the mecca where everybody wants to get to, it's the top of the business, the top of the mountain, it's the peak of Everest, if you want. Why are people leaving? And you got to kind of look around, and we've seen veterans leaving because they wanted opportunities. You've seen veterans leave because they're frustrated with creative. You've seen younger stars frustrated with creative. You've seen veterans like the New Day, who are company guys, leave because they're being asked to take pay cuts and they're not getting the respect they feel they deserve. They're not being utilized. You can go watch AEW and see matches that people haven't seen before that they've been clamoring for years. The New Day versus the Young Bucks. Xavier Woods or Austin Creed versus Kenny Omega. Matches that people are dying to see that haven't been seen. So we've seen talent disappear for months at a time. At some point, you have to ask whether WWE simply has too much talent and not enough meaningful ideas, because that's exactly what it feels like, right? They've got a roster that rivals anything any other promotion in this world could put together, but half of that roster is sitting in back and catering because WWE's creative can't rub two coins together or put pen to paper and come up with something meaningful for them. I mean, hell, it's come out that they're utilizing AI even more, and it seems like whatever prompts they're putting into AI can't even create a storyline for half these guys that's compelling. So much so that we're going back to the bloodline. We're going back 2 years and we're retelling this bloodline storyline again. What meat is left on the bone for the bloodline that we feel that we can milk this for another 6, 8, 10, 12 months, 24 months, 4 years? How much is left in the tank for that bloodline? I don't know. If you ask me, not a lot, because I'm not interested in this bloodline storyline or where they're going with it. I have hopes that and adding a rumored signed Zillafat 2 to the mix at some point will do a lot to help that storyline. But I'm be honest with you, I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns. I'm more interested in Zillafat 2 versus Jacob Fatu. I'm more interested in Zilla versus Solo Sikoa. For me, Roman Reigns is the least interesting member of the bloodline. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I feel like we've been in this Roman Reigns universe for too long, and it's time for us to get away from it. But honestly, when you sit here and look at it, like, creative isn't about having the biggest roster. It's about giving people a reason to care about the stories you're telling. Sheamus didn't need another world title. He didn't need to headline WrestleMania. He just needed something that mattered. I mean, I'll make one final case here. One defying rivalry. One more memorable stable. But instead, if the reports are true, he's going to simply walk away and WWE is going to let it happen. Now, I'm not here to spew anti-WWE speech or anything like that because I love WWE. Business is booming, the attendance is credible, the company is making more money than ever, right? They're basically printing their own money with these fucking prices for these shows that people are paying. But success shouldn't make creative immune to criticism. Triple H has come out and said, "Oh, well, the IWC and these wrestling pundits just shut up and listen and enjoy the ride we're taking you on," to kind of paraphrase and use some of The Rock's words here. But we have a right in this country to have an opinion on things and to criticize something when we feel like it needs to be criticized. And we do that every Thursday, but we criticize it in a way that we also give you ideas to fix it. If you shut up and quit criticizing the people criticizing you and just listen a little bit, yeah, the fans aren't always right. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. There's a lot of people out there that have stupid creative ideas and think WWE should be doing something that they're not. And when you really listen to it and think about it, you're like, man, that's a dumb idea. Like, I don't know why we're still having this conversation about Obafemi potentially pulling double duty at SummerSlam when he's been announced for a Hell in a Cell match against Brock Lesnar, which effectively anybody who's been a WWE fan for a long time should automatically realize, hey, that pretty much takes that off the board because WWE is not going to risk booking 2 matches for Obafemi and have Obafemi accidentally get hurt inside Hell in a Cell. And then all of a sudden you're up shit's creek without a paddle for your night 2 main event because Obafemi can't go both matches. They're not going to risk the longevity of Obafemi and the money that Obafemi brings in to do something like that. So I don't know why people are still out here running with that narrative. Right? Again, success should not make creative immune from criticism. If the talented veterans feel like there's nothing left for them, that's what we're talking about. Sheamus isn't just another wrestler. He's a litmus test. He's been a litmus test. The Miz has been a litmus test for a while now because when they call up from NXT, who's the first person that these people look at? Carmelo Hayes. Who was the first person that Carmelo Hayes had a feud against? Look what Danhausen's doing. He's in a program with The Miz. The Miz has been that litmus test. Sheamus is that litmus test. If WWE can't find compelling stories for someone with his credibility, what chances does the middle of the roster have to get anything going? What chances do a Ricky Saints, by all intents and purposes, needs help? I love Ricky Saints. I love what Ricky Saints did in NXT. I love what he did in AEW, but his debut on SmackDown was bastardized. It was atrocious. And that match he put on with Trick Williams at Night of Champions was absolute garbage. It was slow. It was boring. It was sloppy. It was disinteresting. There was no story there. Nothing. The story that needs to be told is between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. And now, if you believe the rumors that they're talking to, our SummerSlam match is going to be Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes versus Ricky Saints. It feels like WWE creative is like, well, we can bypass a sloppy match by making it a triple threat. So that way, if one guy's having a bad performance, the other 2 guys can still shine and the match will be okay. This is where that repetition of house shows and the lack thereof, yes, WWE is saving money. Yes, these wrestlers are saving wear and tear on their bodies, prolonging their careers, but it's also suffering when it comes to their trade and how they perform in the ring. Case in point, Sol Ruca. I love Sol Ruca. I came on this show every Thursday and I screamed from the mountaintop after her match against Bayley on Saturday's main event, Sol Ruca's main roster ready. Bring Sol Ruca up. What are we doing? Bring Sol Ruca up. She's main roster ready. She gets to the main roster and she has a couple of matches that have some serious botches in them. She botches on a house show overseas in Europe and rolls up on Liv Morgan after a move, buckling Liv Morgan's knee, and Liv went down writhing in pain. And people were getting all over Sol Ruca to the point where she had to leave social media because they thought she injured Liv. We haven't really seen Sol Ruca since. I don't know with the trajectory of creative and what Triple H and the rest of WWE is doing, what hope does that give the rest of the main roster? If this is really the end for Sheamus, I just want to say thank you to Sheamus. You've given us classics. You've given us bangers after bangers. You've given us wars. And you've been one of the most consensual and consistently entertaining performers of the last 20 years. You belong right up there in the conversation with John Cena. the names like that, The Rock, Hogan. You are a company man through and through. But I can't help feeling like this ending didn't have to happen. Not because WWE couldn't afford to keep Sheamus, because they're toting record profits and all their CEOs and heads of TKO just got massive, massive raises. But he's leaving because they couldn't convince him there was something worth staying for. You asking this man to take a pay cut after everything he does for you. He puts his career on the line every week. He's had some injuries. He's got a successful YouTube channel in the Celtic Warrior workouts. He's toted the line and everything he's asked. Had feuds he had no business being in, factions he had no business being in. But he just never seemed, after his big injury that he came back from a couple years ago, he just never seemed to get that push. I could get out of the starting blocks. And I feel like that WWE creative had a lot to do with that. And now, because he's getting up there in age, no matter if his skill level has diminished or not, they're asking him to take pay cuts. Have they gone and asked Randy Orton to take a pay cut? Because Randy Orton is another one that he had the injury that he's gone for months, came back right before WrestleMania, had a great WrestleMania match, and has been seen since WrestleMania. Honestly, if WWE couldn't convince him that there was something worth staying for, that might be the biggest creative criticism WWE has faced in years. What does that say about your creative if one of your biggest stars who's towed the line is saying, listen, I'm walking away because you creatively have nothing for me? How can you literally pay these people who want to perform, people who want to wrestle? Rusev came back to the company because he wants to wrestle. And Royce Keys wants to wrestle. You come up to these guys and go, listen, I understand that you came here because you want to wrestle, but creatively, sorry, bud, we got nothing for you. What do you mean you got nothing for me? That's why I came here. And then you don't let these guys work the indies. You don't let these guys go out there and do podcasts. You don't let these guys go out there unless they're WWE approved and go out there and try to create something, build some buzz, build their brand. And it usually only happens organically if they go off script. Look at Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona, you had one of the biggest names in the indie scene who was out there trailblazing the indies. The deathmatch king, the self-proclaimed deathmatch king, winning championships in every independent promotion out there. You bring him back to WWE. You want to saddle him with that Zack Ryder gimmick, a loser gimmick that was over with the fans at some point, and the fans felt sorry for him, but you tried to capitalize that. And then when he left and came back again, that's when you give him Matt Cardona. You give him the right name, but you're not giving him the right package. You're having him come back to WWE, and since he's been back, he's been a perennial loser. So it's like Zack Ryder never left. Matt Cardona is a talent. Matt Cardona is a talent that could freshen up your stale, stagnant title scene. If you are going to give Sammy the belt back for literally 2 weeks and then take it off of him to give it back to Cody, what are we doing? You literally had 2 losers. You have a stipulation that automatic rematch clauses are null and void, but then you go ahead and you get around that by saying, all right, well, we're going to give 2 guys who lost a number 1 contenders match in Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Jey Uso lost the King of the Ring to Obafemi. And then you're going to turn around and go, Obafemi is going to give up his title shot to face Brock Lesnar inside Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam. And Jey Uso can go ahead and declare himself the number 1 contender, but we're going to create a match for him against Cody Rhodes for the true number 1 contender match. We're going to put Cody right back in the title picture. You have your fan base out here screaming how stale and stagnant Cody Rhodes' title run is and that he's better chasing the championship, but you're going to turn around and forfeit long-term storytelling with what you could do with Sammy and potentially put that belt right back on Cody just so you can get to a Cody CM Punk main event for SummerSlam. Because all intents and purposes, you're admitting that Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, isn't selling tickets as a main event draw against Sami Zayn for SummerSlam. Sami Zayn, who is questionably the most important piece of the bloodline with the honorary Uce stuff that kept the bloodline interesting. And now all of a sudden, Sammy's not worth it as champion. I hope WWE doesn't do that. I hope WWE keeps that belt on Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn does go to SummerSlam as champion, and maybe we get Sami Zayn versus CM Punk. Sami Zayn's title run is not going to be long. It was never going to be long. He is very much a transitional champion, and everybody knows that. And if you don't think that's the case, you're lying to yourself. Sami is 100% a transitional champion. The question is, how long is that championship reign, or how long is WWE willing to put off that transition? Because he's not going to get a Roman Reigns-esque title run where he's going to hold that belt till WrestleMania next year. That's not happening. So who takes it off him? Does Cody take it off on Monday in Chicago on Raw, tomorrow night on Raw? Do they hold off and CM Punk come back and take that belt off of him at SummerSlam? And I don't want to hear people starting this whole narrative again of Brock Lesnar is going to beat Sami Zayn at Saturday Night Main Event to take the belt off of him right before SummerSlam. So that way it's going to be Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar inside Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship. No, it's not going to happen. Brock Lesnar is not interested in the WWE Championship right now. If that was the case, then we would get a stipulation for SummerSlam where Brock would call out Oba for that title and say, hey, listen, you want another go with me? We're 1-1. You want me to pay attention to you again? You want another run at me? Put your guaranteed title shot on the line. SummerSlam night 1, me versus you. Winner gets your King of the Ring automatic championship shot. Then goes on to night 2 to face Roman Reigns or Sami Zayn for that championship match. Makes the most sense to me. But no, WWE decided that they're going to go ahead and just forfeit and swerve everyone on that. And, oh, well, you get this championship match, but, spend months, weeks promoting that the winner of the King of the Ring gets an automatic championship shot of their choosing at SummerSlam. And now all of a sudden you pivot to that and you got a match that you could have gotten without Oba winning King of the Ring. You could have had Seth win King of the Ring and still gotten Seth versus Roman and Oba versus Brock. Nothing changed regardless of who won King of the Ring. So now you create a situation that's very much like Money in the Bank and almost as confusing as the John Cena tournament that he announced, where Oba just holds this automatic title shot that he can use at any point in time. What's the point of the Money in the Bank? It's the same thing. The only difference is Money in the Bank is a guaranteed title match anytime, any place, anywhere. Oba still gets to call a shot like he's holding the Money in the Bank. So at some point, you're going to create a situation where you have a Money in the Bank holder that can call a title match anytime he wants, and then Obafemi out here with this contract. You see what I mean? Like, their creative isn't like gelling. They're working themselves into a corner and trying to figure out ways out of it. Now, I don't know how much blame I can put on Triple H. I feel like he's got to get the brunt of it only because he's the head of creative. But I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't know really what's all going on and what's going down. All I could talk about is what I do know, and what I do know is, based on reports, Sheamus is leaving because, 1, they didn't want to pay him what he feels he's worth, and 2, they have nothing creatively for him. I feel like Sheamus' story, like I said, wrote itself. Intercontinental Championship match, Intercontinental Championship run, then you could have Sheamus versus Penta, Sheamus versus Obafemi, Sheamus versus Javon Evans, Sheamus versus Ethan Page, Sheamus versus whoever. And you could have had potential 5-star matches. But you choose to let a man who's 100% a gold standard, 100% bar, 100% company guy walk out the building because you got nothing creatively for him, or you want him to take a pay cut because you're greedy. or he just feels like there's nothing left for him to do in WWE. Like Chronic said, AEW, he's got friends there, and Adam Copeland and Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, Chris Jericho. He's got interesting guys he can work with over there, like, Wardlow or Luchasaurus or Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Bobby Lashley again, like Darby Allin, MJF. There's just more interesting matches waiting for him over there. I get the allure of leaving because you have bigger names and potential matches that have never been seen over in AEW. But is the grass always greener? WWE is still the Mecca. He's done everything on that mountaintop. Does he leave for a couple of years? Does he walk away when his contract is up? Does he go to AEW? Does he go to MLW? Does he go to House of Glory? Does he go to New Japan? I don't know where Sheamus is going to go, but I can tell you what, Sheamus is going to walk away. Sheamus is going to have a 90-day non-compete. He's going to have no restriction. He's going to show up in another promotion and instantly be what? A world champion again? Draw interest? Get more of a payday than WWE? I will say again, I love WWE, but we are in an age where WWE creative is playing it too safe, too cookie cutter, as some other of my counterparts on here will say, too Sesame Street. And that's a problem. But it's a problem that's not going to get fixed overnight. I think that WWE needs to stop criticizing the IWC. Quit attacking the people online that are giving you their opinions on their products, because we're not corporate yes men. We are not paid to lick your boots. We are not paid corporate bootlickers. We are genuinely people that are paying for your product. We are shelling out our hard-earned money to sit in the seats and voicing our opinions when we do so, and you give us a 2-hour SmackDown that doesn't live up to the hype. You give us a Monday Night Raw that doesn't live up to the hype. Your most exciting time should be around a PLE, and you've been giving us dog shit go-home shows for PLEs. The creative needs to get better. You have the pieces, you have the tools. Why aren't we doing this? And the IWC is giving you some pretty creative ideas. I've heard some pretty creative ideas out there from some of my counterparts. But that's where I'm going to end this video today. Just kind of my ideas after hearing that Sheamus is going to walk away, and that Fightful's reporting that he was requested to take a restructured contract extension, and he said no, and then he's going to walk away because the money wasn't right, or creative wasn't there, or they had nothing for him, or didn't know how to use him. And we're never going to get, well, I can't never say never, I guess, but we're not getting a Sheamus Grand Slam championship. We're not going to see Sheamus with an Intercontinental Championship run, that one title that eludes him. Like, you did it for John Cena. And I get it. John Cena is the 17-time world champion. John Cena was a company man who towed the line for many years, but Sheamus was right there with Cena. Sheamus's name was always 1 and 2 on the marquee with Cena. Sheamus is still a draw. I feel like you owe it to Sheamus to give Sheamus a little something creatively. You could have given him a Intercontinental Championship run, and Sheamus would have a killer match with any of the guys you have in your Intercontinental title scene right now. Those are just my thoughts. But let me know, what do you think? Is Sheamus leaving WWE because he dropped the ball? They dropped the ball on him creatively? Or is this simply the natural end of an incredible career? Is the injury stacking up? Does maybe, what Fightful Select is reporting, everyone is just jumping to conclusions of why Sheamus walked away? And, that could be it too. Could I be jumping to conclusions? Could everyone be jumping to conclusions that they didn't have anything creatively for him, or that he just wasn't happy, or the money wasn't right? Sure. Could it just be that the injuries are stacking up and Sheamus feels like his time is coming to an end and he doesn't want to continue putting his body through that? He doesn't want to have long-term CTE or long-term injury issues, which he's probably already going to have down the line. He wants to live out the rest of his years and potentially start having family and all that, and the injuries are just stacking up, so he doesn't want to do it anymore. Sure, I absolutely believe that. But until we hear that come out of Sheamus's mouth, or we hear what's going on from Sheamus himself, we're just going to run wildly with speculation, I guess. We'll probably talk about this more Thursday night on Off the Mat. We'll hopefully get a little bit more information that comes out about that when that does happen. But let me know in the comments section below what you think. Is Sheamus leaving WWE because they dropped the ball creatively, because they're asking him to take a pay cut, or is it because he's just a simple, natural end to his incredible career? But if you enjoyed our live stream today, make sure that like button, hit that subscribe button for more WWE news, rumors, and honest discussions. And make sure to join us this Thursday night on Off the Mat, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where we're going to talk about this and all of the happenings in WWE and the world of professional wrestling this week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you guys Thursday.